All right, welcome everyone. My name is Duffie, and in this tutorial, we're going to take a look at HTML, or Hypertext Markup Language. HTML, of course, is the language of the World Wide Web. It's the codes that are transmitted from the web server to the web browser, and that the web browser interprets or parses in order to be able to display the web pages that we see. So if I go to any web page, I'm looking here at um, Mount San Jacinto College web page, and if I pick a blank spot, right click, and then click on View Source or View Page Source, I would be able to actually see the HTML code that is behind the web page. And there's a lot of what we call tags, which use these braces. Here's the beginning of the title. That's the title tag. Welcome to Mount San Jacinto College. Here's the end of the title, so the end title tag here. And the tags are throughout the HTML page. Okay, so let's take a look at some very simple HTML. Probably more like the HTML that Tim Berners-Lee was working with when he first invented and proposed the HTML standard. So I start with an HTML tag, and then at the end of my document, I have an HTML or end HTML tag. I have the beginning of the head. I have the end of the head here. I have the beginning of the title. I have the end of the title here, and you can see that these tags, here's a paragraph, the end of a paragraph, the body, the end of the body. These tags are almost always in pairs, where you have the beginning and the end, with the end um, represented with a slash symbol. So I'm going to simply take some simple HTML code that I've written, and I'm going to right click and copy this to my clipboard, and then I'm going to go to the Try It editor, and you can just Google for Try It editor. See if I can find my Try It editor here, and I'm going to paste the HTML code that I'm working with here into the Try It editor, and then I'm going to click the Submit Code button to actually see what this does. And I can see that the Hello World is a new paragraph, and then the heading level 1 um, text inside of the H1 um, code is bigger. And you could try heading 2 and heading 3 and heading 4 and so on and so forth. So the HTML is translated into what the browser actually sees. And so this web page, the Try It editor, um, lets us experiment with these HTML commands. And that's, in my opinion, an easier way to explore HTML than trying to create an HTML document and then save it, and then save it as HTML or HTML and then run it in a browser. This is a more kind and friendly and interactive approach. Of course, there's lots of tools that let you create the HTML almost like a word processor. And in fact, Microsoft Word will actually generate HTML if you want it to, but that's not what we're talking about here. We just want to kind of to explore the actual tags. So let's go back to our examples here, and I'm just going to take really the genius of Tim Berners-Lee HTML um, markup language was this notion of hypertext or hyperlinks. So here's an href or hypertext reference, and then there's a HTTP, which is, by the way, a standard that Tim Berners-Lee also developed, the hypertext transfer protocol. And I'm going to take this code, I'm going to copy it, go back to my Try It editor, and just I want to be careful that I put this inside of the body. I'm going to paste it in here. So there's my reference, and now I'm going to submit that code. And notice there's a bold tag. So CNN News is going to be my link, and it's going to be bold. So here we go. And then you can see CNN News shows up now in my little pseudo browser here, and if I click on CNN News, then the HTML from CNN News will then download into here. So if I paste it again, I could change this. Instead of CNN News, I could change this to maybe msjc dot edu, and I would want to also change this to say Mount San Jacinto College, and I'm going to submit that code, and I can see I have my next link here, Mount San Jacinto College News. I click on that, and then the HTML from Mount San Jacinto College will download into my browser. All right, let's take a look at a couple more of these commands. Bold and italics are very easy to do. Bold, italics, underlining. We'll leave that for you to do on your own. The color command is kind of fun. I'm going to go font color, right click, copy, go back over to my Try It editor and pick a spot where I want to put this in. I'm going to paste it. And notice the pound FF0000, that's RGB. So the FF is the hexadecimal code for 255. And if I submit code, you'll see that it makes that code display in red. If I wanted to put a new paragraph in, I could put P, and then I could put a close P, which would be /P. And you notice this is red now, is down on the next line. And of course I could put text in the middle, just like I did up here with Hello World, and create a paragraph in that way. If I change it from FF, which is red, 255, to 00, and then FF in the middle, that's the G, or the green. Or if I went 00 and then FF in the last position, that's the B, RGB, and I would get, this is red because it says this is red, but it's actually displaying in blue. Or if I combine green and blue, RGB, and put FFFF, then I get this color that's a combination of G and B, or green and blue. And you can try different values, AA, BB, anything up to FF and all the way down to 0. All right, and then for our last tag, and this is actually what we call a deprecated tag. It's not one that's in the current standard, I don't believe, but it's still fun, and most browsers will still represent it as the marquee, and there's different type of marquee loops that you can put in. And I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to pick a spot, paste that in, and submit the code, and I can see the marquee moves across, and I could change the text in the marquee tag, and I could embed a font color or a font style, text style, inside of one of these other tags. All right, so if you actually wanted to run this in a browser, you could take this code, copy it, paste it in the Notepad or WordPad, and then make sure you save the document as a text file without any formatting, no RTF, no docx, just as plain text, and then give it an extension HTML or HTML, and you should be able to then click on the resulting file, and it will come up as an actual web page. And then of course, if you were actually wanting to put this up on the web, you would need to find a web server where you could host your HTML code. All right, well, I think that's a good introduction to HTML and how easy it is to experiment with HTML and HTML codes. And that will conclude this tutorial.